Hi there. I wanted to take a quick minute and go over some of the details of the fountain so it'll be a little bit easier to install and know what you're working with. So overall it's 104 inches tall. The sides are 59 inches from end to end, from right there to right here. From this leading edge here is exactly 50 inches. And the intent behind this is close to about 6 inches or so, but this is going to have the stacked stone that comes down. In theory, the stacked stone should come to right about here and then fill in this point. And so as you can see that there's this gap here. That gap is consistent up there at the top, so the stacked stone can be built around it. Same with up into this spot here. So both of them are consistent. That over there. So down here in the pan you can see we got two pumps, water float. I gotta still make the hookup here, but right here these are little rock tray areas. A little rock still. The rock tray sits across here, spans there. You can see we got the pieces of aluminum, the mesh, the rock tray pad, and then the mesh, and then these pieces here, they're little side pieces that will cover up this right here. We got the bag of rocks as well. Right now I've got the left and right hand pumps identified. Our left, when this arrives, it'll be disconnected here just so that shipping is a lot easier. And it's hard to tell, but I've got it marked as far as the gate valves are concerned. Both of them. Because when you look up the flow of the water, it's pretty even keeled. If you increase it too much, like we'll do here, starts to create these veins, and then if they go too fast it'll actually create some drips and puddles, and it just makes it for a mess that's down here. So best thing is just tune it back to where it's marked and not mess with it. You can almost hear the water level change and the veins are slower. Obviously, the pump sucks the water from here. You want the water level, you know, right about here above the pump so it's not sucking up any air. Sucks, gets pushed, actually comes in right through this little port here. And it travels up this pipe, all the way up, distributes across the top, and then pours down. Same goes for the right hand side. Does the same thing. This little spot right here is where the water line's gonna go. It'll tuck right up underneath here, come down, it'll drape over here, and then butt right down in the connections here. This right here, just a standard float. I would just set that once you fill this up with some distilled water initially, and then let it draw from the reverse osmosis unit along with some of the hookups. So the idea behind that, as you can see here, this is pipe, or at least tube. So it'll come down here and then it'll penetrate down here. There's a little hole where my finger can go, and right here in this spot is where a core drill should exist so that the water line can penetrate down through. Over here, you can see we have something similar. We've got the pump cords, the power cords. They got 16 feet each, and it comes up underneath here and then drapes over here. As you get near finishing, just so it's easy on everybody, this just kind of covers that up and makes it look tight. I would highly suggest that if there's going to be stacked stone here, that something be kind of temporary so it can be removable should one of these pumps fail. because they're made at a manufacturer. We obviously can't control how they, we can't control their lifespan. But what I don't want to have happen for you guys is if you put the block or the stacked stone all the way up to here, and you actually cover up the penetration, and you can't get the pump cords down inside. So however you do it, I would strongly recommend that this piece of stone that's here be more decorative so that it can be removed should it need it to. And then the other side, just like what we were looking at on the other side, the side here is where the hose goes to, but this over here is the electrical port. You can see that the cords come down here. This here is for the lighting up underneath. The lighting gets trailed all the way down there. I still got to make a final connection, but the wire is all ran down inside here, comes down here, steps into here, and then penetrates down through the floor. This right here obviously would be where another core drill would go so that this can go. Again, 16 feet. Right now we have just a low voltage transformer that's connected to regular 120, and then these two pump cords for the pump. Again, we need a plan in case this needs to be replaced as far as pump is concerned. It's supposed to be pretty easy. It's in one hole, down the other. Let's see here. Let's see, on to the next step here. Oh, as far as the, yes, if this thing overfilled too high, it conceivably could still, yes, water level could fill up way too high and pour down into here. Yes, that's an absolute possibility. However, you can see how low I've got the water running right now. There's still plenty of space to put this in here. And since it's on an automatic fill float, just like anything, you just got to monitor it and make sure it's not getting stuck and whatnot. But as soon as the water comes in here, this will deploy water out of the bottom, fills up, and then it stops. So I'm going to assemble the rock tray just real quick for you. I'm going to take this piece and put it back there. Take this, you can see I've made notches and cuts in them. Just rides against that and rides against that. I would pull it tight right against this, so it butts up against this, gives you a good spacing. It's all just loose really. Make sure it's square. It'll hold a lot of weight there. Take the next piece. Do the exact same thing. You do not want to run this all the way to here, because obviously it creates a giant mess. You're asking for problems. So pull this back, you know, some just decent distance, so it's consistent. That's all you need. And the rocks will sit on here and hold this. So here's the rock tray. It's plastic, so it'll hold up. And again, just like the other thing, you don't want it sitting against that. You want it pulled all the way back. So there's a nice little bit of a gap. This is pulled all the way to the leading edge. So instead of putting the full rock tray pad, you can obviously see we didn't have enough length, so I had to cut it. So I'm just going to install this one real quick. So the purpose of this is to contain the upward splash from the water and give a soft spot for the rocks to land. This is just the anti-slip, antimicrobial stuff you can buy at Home Depot if you needed to. But what you're going to do, you're just going to gently flip this into here. You're going to roll it back, keep it tight. You can kind of see how there's a small lip that rolls down into there. The more forward you make it, the quieter the water's going to get. Just keep that rolled back. Go ahead and throw this one on. Well, Well, I don't know who came up with the idea that we only needed 10 minutes for each run, but anyway, so this is kind of part 2, continuation of what I was talking about. As you can see, I got the rock tray pad in. It's going to hold some pretty stout weight. It'll be pretty good. I would just gently fill in this whole area with rocks. I highly suggest you keep the rocks back maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch from this, because what can happen is if the rock sits there, you can see how the water is just bouncing off my hand. What happens over time is if the rocks sit too close here, it starts throwing water, and then it'll continue and continue and continue, and the next thing you know, you got a mess. So just keep everything back. Just keep the rocks gently across the surface there. This stuff can be cleaned, it can be hosed down, this can be replaced if needed to as far as the mesh is concerned. Back here it's supposed to be completely open, because again, like I put my hands here, you don't want anything against the leading edge because it'll carry the water against your hand. This is 3/8 tempered glass, in case the city inspector wants to see. The actual stamp is down here on the bottom left hand corner where everything is held. It goes all the way up. It is locked in with a piece of aluminum. You can see the aluminum bracket that's inside there. You can see the wire nuts underneath. That actually holds a bracket on the face side of it to actually pinch it. So it actually just clasps the piece of glass. If this is the piece of glass, it actually pinches it and holds it. Back here it's completely open. There's no need for anything. This should be right up against the stack stone against the wall. The water just sits stagnant back there, or static. The glass sits down inside a channel just to prevent it from moving and whatnot. There's little pieces of hose which protects the leading corner at the bottom. So I don't believe that those will come out in shipment. With some foamies there to take out, but nonetheless, so all of this, everything back here is going to be completely open. So just let the rock tray do what it needs to, and this will allow the water to breathe, all that kind of stuff. As far as adhering the stone to this, you know, when you get this set in place and you're up against the wall, you know, go ahead, pilot drill, screw, physically fasten anything you need to from this side to where you're going to. That's why I built it this way. You could use liquid or P&L adhesive for the stone. At least that's what I use, which is this stuff right there. That's what's holding up the stone, just to ensure it doesn't fall down. I did not seal it. So you can see I got it a little bit wet just for some contrast. I wasn't sure what your stacked stone was going to be. So if it's a satin finish, you can go ahead and finish it, but this is a gray, brown, natural stone, natural slate. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I hope that made sense. I'm going to go ahead and post this right behind the other one, embarrassingly so, but you get the point. At any rate, I hope that helps you. Thanks.